Hello, you've caught me thinking about bosses for the, well, let's just say not the first time. We've had hard bosses, secret bosses, impossible bosses, bosses we liked, bosses we didn't like, big bosses, little bosses. Actually, no, we haven't done little bosses yet. Dave? Could you write down little bosses for a Friday feature? Yeah. I don't know, Cortex is pretty short, isn't it? Sorry. Anyway, today we're talking about easy bosses. My favourite kind. The sort that big themselves up and then fall without so much as a "this isn't even my final form." The ones you look at and think to yourself, how on earth did you get that job? You're obviously underqualified with none of the skills required and a terrible work ethic. What are you, the main antagonist's second cousin's next door neighbour or something? Blatant nepotism. Here are 7 video game bosses so easy, they should immediately be demoted. First up, we've got Papu Papu from Crash Bandicoot, a bloke who very slowly swings a stick around for you to hop over before bouncing him to death. Now, you might be thinking, hey, come on, it's the first boss. Of course he's going to be easy. To which I would say, have you played Crash Bandicoot? So being the first boss in Crash Bandicoot is no excuse if you ask me. Papu Papu should be Devil May Cry Phantom hard. He just can't be bothered turning around with all the urgency of a sloth in a day spa, telegraphing his one attack so obviously it's literally harder to not jump over it. Vicarious Visions did give Papu Papu a little boost for the N.Sane trilogy and gave him 5 segments of health instead of 3, but he's still just far too easy. He's still just far too... He's still just far too... For crying out loud! Next up, we've got Metatan Neo from Undertale, a form of metatan you can only encounter on a genocide run, which, for those of you who don't speak Undertale, is when you play through the game and kill every single monster you come across. You'd think that would make Metatan Neo hard as nails, wouldn't you? I mean, he certainly sounds cool, like if Kingdom Hearts somehow got a hold of the Matrix license and made a character that was the recoded dream drop nobody of Keanu Reeves or something. Metatan Neo! You know, what a badass. So yeah, you encounter him and he shows off his new form like some kind of winged rock god and you're preparing yourself for a tough fight. You wind up an attack and... That's it. That's all you've got. I mean, I know you're a completely benign robot built by Dr. Alphys, and this is Undertale, a game notorious for jotting down notes of player expectations before sticking them through a paper shredder. But really, a one-hit KO? You're not a boss, you're a cutscene. Our next entry is probably the most pathetic character on this entire list. In Ghost of Tsushima, once you arrive in the open world and are able to do anything you like, walking slowly and playing the reed flute at sunrise, you hear rumours of another samurai surviving the massacre at Komoda Beach. So naturally you investigate and are introduced to Jinroku, a fellow warrior who apparently has saved this entire settlement from the Mongols. So you speak with Jinroku and... Oh, sorry, what's that?
The beaches of Komatsu ran red with blood that terrible day.
We fought at Komoda.
Of course.
Yeah, I think I smell a liar! And indeed, after inspecting Jinroku's horse, which belongs to a different samurai altogether, it becomes clear this guy is a massive fraud. So you follow his big dumb fraudster footprints all the way to his hiding place, and then it's time to duel! I love the way the game sets this up. Proper duel cutscene and everything. Jin's there readying his katana. The fight begins and literally as soon as Jinroku's health bar fills the screen, and it's a full-on boss-style health bar, he drops his sword and begs for mercy. that's just sad. It's a good job Jin's a nice guy, because I'd be chopping you down just for wasting my time. I mean, at least try, Jinroku. Honestly, I can't stand it when people give up before they've even had a go. Says the person who never got further than old Yarnum in Bloodborne because he couldn't stand the thought of fighting another boss. Our fourth entry is one of those bosses that initially is hard, to the point where he seems just impossible, quite frankly, until you learn the secret of defeating the Sorrow in Metal Gear Solid 3, upon which getting past him becomes laughably easy. So the Sorrow is already dead. You're fighting a ghost floating above a river of other ghosts. All the enemies you've killed in the game up to this point stumbling and clawing at you, a guilt trip that would absolutely have worked if my shame wasn't completely swallowed by my terror. Get to the end of the river and you just die. Your endless restart waves crashing against this seemingly impassable beach time and time again, until somehow, probably because you've got a friend who's told you, you work out what you have to do. Remember the revival pill Major Zero tells you about at the start of the game? Yeah, turns out this game over screen is the key. Wait until you've died, open up the items menu, take the pill, and voila, you have defeated the Sorrow. By which we mean you've worked out the obscure solution to a Kojima-tastic puzzle, the likes of which we hadn't really seen since Psycho Mantis on PS1. With this knowledge, the Sorrow is incredibly easy to get past. You don't even have to make it to the end of the river. Just let Snake die straight away, pop the pill, and boom.
Nasty Nork has put one of his most devious henchmen in charge of the artisan world.
Bring him on! I think I smell a barbecue.
Entry 5. We've had the first boss of Crash Bandicoot. It's only fair we include the first boss of longtime platforming rival Spyro the Dragon. Toasty is a remarkably easy boss. All you have to do is flame him 3 times and he's down, and honestly, to this day, I don't think he's ever landed a single blow on me. The trophy you get for taking him down without getting hit is just a given, pretty much. I was genuinely surprised when researching this boss to learn that he does actually have 2 entire attacks. A twirly scythe thing when he's in his pumpkin scarecrow form, and a kick attack once you've singed away his robes to reveal the pitiful sheep underneath. In fact, let's do an experiment. I want to see if he actually does. Wow! So he does have it in him. Good for you, Toasty. Until now, I always thought you were the classic boss, you know, floating about doing nothing in particular and getting everyone else to do the work for you. Because let's face it, the hardest thing about this level is getting through those flippin' sheepdogs. They are lethal. If the final area of Toasty was a room full of these things, then we might actually have a challenge on our hands. But Toasty himself, an absolute nothing. I was honestly surprised to see gems exploding out of his body after he's been defeated. I genuinely thought he'd be turning into a butterfly instead, like all the other harmless sheep in the artisan world Spyro gets to mercilessly slaughter for health. Our penultimate entry this week is Gary Smith from Canis Canem Edit, who has the rather embarrassing honour of being the only final boss on this list of bosses so easy they should be demoted. Imagine that, you know, Gary isn't just a boss, he's the CEO of this game, the big bad, the ruler of his imaginary empire. And to be fair, actually getting to Gary is pretty tough. You have to fight your way through half the school and then clamber up the side of the building while he hurls conveniently placed hazards at you. All this just to earn the right to, well, pretty much beat the snot out of him as soon as the actual fist fight starts. I mean, you get the feeling by this point that Gary knows he's lost. He's all mouth, rambling on and on as you edge closer and closer, giving it all that about how smart he is, but when it comes to the crunch, when you actually stand up to him, he goes down like the limp, cowardly bully he truly is. This is just a simple punch-up, the type which you've handled hundreds of times before. I trained for this by beating up prefects twice my size, dumping them in trash cans and giving teachers wedgies. Gary is honestly no harder than any regular encounter. He's even easier than fighting Liquid Snake at the end of Metal Gear Solid. You know, one of the easiest fights in the entire Metal Gear series.
Oh my god, Snake!
Oh, it's so frustrating! How are you this bad at the game? See? So easy. Just keep punching him and he'll eventually drop through the head teacher's office, who somehow has heard all of Gary's monologuing and promptly expels him. Game over. Our final entry on this list is a bit of a cheeky one, because this Final Fantasy VII boss, Gene Attack, or Jai, or Guy, or Guy, I don't know because there's no voice acting in this game, is actually quite tough if you fight him properly. The ghost of a tribe leader who long ago attacked Cosmo Canyon, this nightmarish creature is a heinous mix of fire magic and physical spear attacks, but it's also undead, which means, if you want, you can kill him in one go by chucking a phoenix down at him. I know it's naughty and you shouldn't be doing it, but, you know, I don't really think this is cheating. It's clever. Curative abilities damage undead monsters. Any Final Fantasy player who knows their Moogles from their Chocobos will tell you this. My favoured method is actually to use an X potion. There's a chance the Phoenix Down could miss, as this does a cool 5,500 damage to Giant Attack and is 100% guaranteed to take the otherwise troublesome boss down in one clean hit. Then you get to enjoy the saddest cutscene in the entire game. Yeah, that's right, this bit makes me cry even more than the whole Aerith scene, as Red 13 mourns the passing of his father. Let's have a listen to the music for a bit, shall we? Lovely. So there you are, 7 video game bosses, so easy they should be demoted. Let us know in the comments if you can think of any other examples. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and click that notification bell so you're always up to date with everything from the world of PlayStation. Thanks for watching, and see you again next week for another Friday feature.
PlayStation